It's a foggy morning, that's for sure. About 300 feet, maybe a little bit less visibility, but right above that, probably another 150 feet up, it's absolutely beautiful blue skies. We've got to load up the Kodiak with a drum of fuel, petrol, heading out to Malamunda. I haven't been out there with you guys in probably a year to almost a year and a half, almost since I got back here to Papua New Guinea. I'm already fuel for the morning, so all I have to do is just load up a little bit of cargo, get out of here, and then on to Yifki, Wewak. I've got a full day of flying. This video has been sponsored by Saley. I've already got my boards in here. These are my ramps, four-wheeler ramps that we're gonna use to roll the drum of fuel up and out of here. And we put these down so that these metal tracks do not, aluminum, but they don't get damaged because they're part of the structure of the aircraft. So if they got damaged, well, then we're in a whole world of hurt. Oh, hey, look at this. There's no more rope here. I forgot about this. We got new magnets on the side of the plane. So the door sits all the way back like that. That's pretty sick. I like that. Have you ever traveled to another country and when you arrived, your internet on your phone did not work? That means your Google Maps didn't work. You can't make phone calls on WhatsApp. It adds a lot of stress to your travels for sure. It's a huge pain to have to go buy another SIM card for your phone, buy a plan that doesn't fit your needs, especially if you're only gonna be in that country for a few days for either work or even if it's just vacation. Well, Saley solves that problem. Saley is a global eSIM, which is an electronic SIM card service that keeps you connected in over 180 countries. So here's how it works. You download the app, you buy an eSIM for the country you're traveling to and install it on your phone. Very easy to do. And now when you arrive at your country, you have internet ready to go the second you land. Now this is a service I use quite regularly. You guys know I go down to Australia with the Kodiak to pick up cargo every few months. Well, I used to have to go into the mall with my passport and buy another SIM card for my phone with a 30-day data plan that I was never gonna be able to use. Now with Saley, what I can do is just have an eSIM and then basically top up that data every time I go with a plan that fits my needs. So I'm not wasting time and money getting something that I don't need and not having access to internet the second I land. With Saley, I can just turn on my eSIM the second I arrive. I've got internet, which allows me to use Google Maps if I need to go get my rental car or find my Airbnb. It makes my life so much easier. Saley makes traveling stress-free. So if you've got a trip coming up, go download the app today and get an exclusive 15% off when you purchase your first data plan when you use my code BUSHPILOT with the link down below, either in the description or the first comment. Thanks, Saley, for sponsoring this video. Some of you guys were asking why we have a blue rudder on the back. This is borrowed from SIL or JARS, you might know them. We actually had some corrosion in ours. We're waiting on parts, but I guess they're in back order. Or it takes a long time to get here, and they had an extra one in stock. So that's why it's blue for a while. I mean, fog's starting to break up. It's definitely getting a little bit sunny over there. It is 10 minutes to 8. I'm still on track for leaving at 8. I think in 10 or 15 minutes, it's gonna be good to go. We're loaded up here. I've got like 3 different locations for all this stuff to go, but I think I should be able to remember it. The clouds are finally lifting. It's now 8:40 in the morning. Let's get started though. Finally are meeting my IFR requirements to be able to get out of here legally. So I'm tired of waiting. I'm supposed to meet the helicopter. I don't want him to have his whole day to be slowed down because of me. You guys can see out this way, it's starting to clear. I can see the mountains. I've got, I don't know, a few miles visibility underneath all the clouds now. And by the time I get to the top of the runway, it will be even clearer out. And I'm kind of guessing this is only like 150, 200 feet thick at most. Broker Tower, good morning. November Tango Kilo, request taxi Malamunda 1 POB.
November Tango Kilo, Broker Tower, good morning. Let's see, runway 17 left, enter backtrack and lineup, QNH 1021, wind and light and variable, time check 2241.
1021, clear to backtrack, lineup 17 left, November Tango Kilo. Strobes and light are on. We'll do governor check as we get onto the runway. Oh wow, they actually mowed the grass for once in like 4 months. That checks out good. Alright, I'll be 50 knots by my taxiway, or else we'll stop on the runway. After takeoff, we'll pitch for 85 knots, considering EPL going for the best field that we can straight ahead, unless we're over 1,500 feet, but by then we're not going to be able to come back anyways because of the clouds. So we'll be going straight ahead, looking for the best field. Ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Checklist is complete, except for takeoff. November Tango Kilo, ready for departure.
November Tango Kilo, runway 17 left. Make right then, clear for takeoff.
17 left, right turn, clear for takeoff, November Tango Kilo. Ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses, checklist is complete. 1390, rotate 61. There's 50, continuing. There's 61 and rotate. Our ITT back to 740. It's already getting bright. And we're about ready to pop out already. Here we go, yep. Let's go ahead and make our right-hand turn now, though. That'll make my life a little bit easier. It is absolutely perfect weather up here, and yeah, it's only right above the airport, it always seems to be. Another half mile up the valley, perfectly clear. Just from the airport down, it's like right at the end of the valley, basically. Kuroka Tower, November Tango, Kilo departed time 43. We'll be tracking 2901 on climb 2000, estimating Malamunda at, Compium, overhead Compium 23.
November Tango Kilo, go ahead, estimate Abim Ikaru.
Time 10, Abim Ikaru, November 10 Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, 12,000, at 15 miles, contact Mosby, 120.1, 6598.
120.16598 at 15, November 10 Kilo. QNH is flashing because that's off of our local QNH, and he has switched over to our area QNH, probably 1011. Hope our landing, our bypass, and our igniters turned off. Okay, like I was telling you, I've got the Sentry traffic avoidance thing down here, and as you guys can see on the screen, it says Sentry Plus, no towers. So I know that it's connected. Up here it says traffic and PNG WAC, which is just our chart for here in PNG. So along this route, we're going to be going right beside the tallest mountain here in Papua New Guinea at 15,000 feet, or just a couple of feet shy of that, Mount Wilhelm. But if we click over here on aeronautical, it's going to show all of our airspaces. Not very well, but here is Mount Hagen right here, and it's kind of like this weird shaped. Looks like we're just going to just barely skim the edge of it, but we can just bump ourselves over a quarter of a mile, we'll be out of their airspace. And that will save us from having to transfer over to Mount Hagen's tower as we're going by. There we go, just about 12,000. That's what that chime is. It lets me know that I'm just 200 feet below my altitude that I have right here in cyan. So any number that anything you see on here that's cyan colored, that means that the pilot can actually change it. So the altitude you can change, you know, the range of your thing, phase 2, your altimeter setting. But we are now about 15 miles outside of Garoka, so let's go ahead and get a hold of Moresby. Moresby 120.1, November Tango Kilo transfer.
Moresby, good morning, go ahead.
Good morning, November Tango Kilo, 17 miles to the west of Goroka 12000. Estimating a Bimagiru time 10 and Compium time 23, and will remain OCTA Hagen.
November Tango Kilo, Roger. 12000, report of traffic, and the QNH is 1008. System reference there.
1008, November Tango Kilo. Right, I just switched the QNH and that bumped me up over 12,000 because I guesstimated around 011. That's alright, we'll just head on back down to 12,000 and get back onto our track over here. I did mention that she'll be transferring me. Maybe she should understand that I'm not going to be going through their airspace. So either way, it doesn't really matter that much. Now that we are leveled off, we're going down, our speeds are up, we can bring our ITT as well as our torque. We'll bring that all the way down to 1270 initially, let it set there. Oops, I didn't actually get my airplane going down. There we go, now we are. And looking ahead, it looks like we're going to have kind of an uneventful flight today, which is fine for me. I've got a long day, so the less weather and clouds that I have to deal with, it definitely saves on fatigue levels at the end of the day. We're now just approaching Mount Hawkins airspace. I was kind of waiting for her to let me know because she did say she was going to transfer me, but she hasn't yet, so I'm going to go a couple degrees off to the right. Just skirt this. Not that they have radar, not that anybody's going to care, but yeah, just for the sake of legality, we're just going to go around their airspace just so that I don't have to call them up, just to let them know I'm crossing a quarter mile into their airspace. One thing I can do right now while we're waiting is take a look at my touchdown elevation, 2,200 feet. So I'm going to want 3,200 feet for my pattern altitude. I'll put that in there. I'm by myself today. We're going to do 900 feet per minute on descent, which is really going to equate closer to probably 1,100 feet per minute by the time I get my speeds up and everything else, because I don't actually pull my power out when I start my descent. I keep my power in and just let the speeds increase. I let my torque increase because my ITT is staying basically the same all the way down. There we go, just on the outside of their airspace. But I think I should be able to pop out here pretty soon because as you guys can see, it gets lighter and greener, which means lowering terrain. The closer I get out to this bush airstrip, it should start clearing up and I can start finding some holes to head on down. While we're waiting for that, let's go over the strip chart together and figure out what to expect here in Malamunda. We're at 12,000, we've got our top of descent going all the way down to 3,200 feet, my pattern altitude. It's a one-way airstrip, and it says mid-final at the river. So it's kind of like this weird circuit, and it's all just because the way the mountains are. We're just going to be hugging mountains all the way. It is very slippery and wet. It's like a kind of like a hard rock. Actually helicoptered two massive bulldozers into this location many years ago. I think originally there was going to be some gold miners that was hoping to do an operation out there. They flew them in there to build this runway. One of them is left close by the runway, the other one went down the mountain and up another side to do some other work, and then ended up just staying over there in the jungle for the rest of its life. And now they're just out there rotting. This place has tailwinds on final, very common. Typically 4 to 5, 6 knots or so on tailwind. On landing, it will look like it's a headwind at first, and then the way the valley is, it will kind of just hit all the hills and then switch all the winds around on you last minute. So I'm going to expect that it's going to be slippery, although I don't really remember seeing any weather out here yesterday, so it might not be, but I'm going to always expect it to be. If I catch a big enough hole, I'm going to go ahead and start my descent down immediately. Yeah, in fact, I'm almost seeing through. Looks like it's getting thinner and thinner. Quick. Oh, you know what? That layer was like...
vertical track.
Oh, look at that. It just broke up not even 5 seconds after I came out of it. I must just have been stuck in this 50-foot layer. That's hilarious. Well, down to 3,200 feet pattern altitude. If you guys did not get a chance to see one of my last videos where I went from Wewak to Goroka, found 2 World War II crashed airplanes, I really highly recommend you guys go check that out after this video. Start up the buddy check for landing. Our fuel selectors are good, our brakes are good, our train awareness we can turn off. Our VREV, which is our landing speed or approach speed, 71 knots. Our lights and inlets, we're 20 miles out, so we'll wait on that for a little bit, and everything else we'll wait on. And that's what's super nice about the buddy check, is you can just go through the ones that you need to. If you need to do something further on up, you can flip that, rather than having a paper checklist where your head's down on your lap, or where you can maybe lose your place, or maybe just even potentially forget something like putting your gear down. If we have to go around, it's at the river. Power up, 20 degrees of flaps, hard left-hand turn, and pitch for 12 degrees on the attitude indicator. Okay, prop and harness is complete. So as I fly over the runway, I'm looking at the color of the ground. Is it really dark? Does it look shimmery with the sunlight going on it? How wet is it? So I can kind of prepare my brain on what I'm going to do. If I am going to start sliding off the runway at any point, I'm going to come out of reverse, add a little bit of power that helps straighten my plane back up and get me back on track. There's just about pattern altitude. Runway doesn't look bad. It does look a little bit darker. It's well used, that's for sure. And it looks like the grass might be a tiny bit longer than normal. Usually it doesn't get very long here. There's 10 degrees of flaps. Moresby 6538, November Tango Kilo in the Circuit Malamunda. Report after landing. Alright, I didn't hear her, but she heard me. 20 degrees of flaps, there is already pattern altitude. I've already put my flaps in just a little bit early just because I'm a little
500.
I'm a little high for where I want to be. We're heading along this ridge here and turning final right at the hill. We're going to be very close to some trees, but that's okay. That's as close as you can, or that's as good as you can get. Going to 81 here, 71 final, so right as we're approaching our final turn, we'll be slowing to 76. Okay, there is 81. And that looks good. We got 3 knots of headwind right now for what we'll have for final. Coming up on final, we'll start slowing down now. I'm going to get flaps in now. Checklist is complete. Make sure I don't hit my wheels on these trees. Turning final, slowing to 71. One out of tailwind, like I said earlier. .650 on the descent, about 3 knots fast, we're committed. Runway is clear. Little shimmery. Now a little bit slippery. 180. Yeah, look how it's just shimmery it is. You can see the water coming off my tires. Very, very typical here. So what I was doing is you can see how this is going in and out. Basically, if I could start feeling myself in my butt just to turn a little bit, I'd come back out and then I'd go back in. It's kind of like when you're driving on ice and you pump the brakes. It's kind of similar to that. Well, thanks for joining me along on this trip. If you guys have not seen one of my last videos where I actually went and found 2 World War II crashed airplanes on my way back to Goroka, be sure to check that out. I'll leave a link up here for you guys to go see that. And then do a time lapse up to Yifki, just like another 12-minute flight up the hill where my next stop is.
Don't forget to download the Saily app today so that you'll be ready for your next travel. Thanks, Saily, for sponsoring this video.